But then, 4 days later, Palestinian terrorist attacks changed Israel's political landscape.
It was a ferocious blast. The suicide bomber detonated 10 kilos of explosives in the middle of a crowded commuter bus.
24 Israelis were killed. A week later, a Palestinian terrorist planted another bomb on a bus. This time, 19 died. The promises of peace and reconciliation seemed hollow. As new elections approached, many voters cared more about security than peace.
These terrorist attacks lost us 20% in the polls. It was catastrophic. I knew another bomb would end the whole thing.
The terrorists struck again. In Tel Aviv's busiest shopping street, 14 died and over 100 were injured. Together, the Israeli electorate and Palestinian extremists had brought forth a new, more mistrustful Israeli leader.
The major decision took place before the elections, when I said that I would honor the Oslo Accords, even though I thought they contained many flaws.
Nevertheless, Netanyahu agreed to partial Palestinian control of Hebron. But for 18 months afterwards, the peace process was paralyzed. In October 1998, under considerable American pressure, Israelis and Palestinians met in a hotel outside Washington. On the table was a proposal for an Israeli withdrawal from additional territory on the West Bank, in return for new security guarantees and the annulment of all clauses in the Palestinian Charter calling for the destruction of Israel. One peacemaker was General Ariel Sharon, whose fierce reputation as a warrior helped provide credibility to the process. 9 days of diplomatic urging, cajoling, intervening, and arm-twisting by President Clinton finally produced results.
This agreement is good for Israel's security. The commitments made by the Palestinians were very strong as any we have ever seen.
We are more secure today because for the first time since the signing of the Oslo Accords, we will see concrete and verifiable commitments carried out.
This agreement is good for the political and economic well-being of Palestinians. It significantly expands areas under Palestinian authority to some 40% of the West Bank.
We will never go back. We will never leave the peace process, and we will never go back to violence and confrontation. No return to confrontation and violence.
To support the agreement, King Hussein left his hospital bed where he was being treated for cancer. He went right to the heart of the matter.
We quarrel, we agree, we are friendly, we are not friendly, but we have no right to dictate through irresponsible action or narrow-mindedness the future of our children and their children's children. There has been enough destruction, enough death, enough waste. And it's time that together we occupy a place beyond ourselves, our peoples, that is worthy of them under the sun, the descendants of the children of Abraham.
After 50 years of war and suffering, a halting, tentative partition of Palestine was underway.
This program is a production of WGBH, which is solely responsible for its content. Funding for the 50 Years' War, Israel and the Arabs, was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and PBS viewers like you.
This is History's Best on PBS.